The rain came in sudden sheets that night, pounding the dirt roads outside Ashwood, a forgotten township where whispers outlived daylight. Sergeant Elias Crane and his K-9 partner, Juno, moved cautiously along the edge of the forest. The scent of wet pine thick in the air. A distant, muffled sound caught Juno's attention, a soft whimper beneath the thunder. There, half hidden in mud and shadow, lay a young woman, her clothes torn, clutching something wrapped in oilskin. Her eyes met Elias's with terror, so deep it swallowed words. What she carried would ignite a chain of betrayals, secrets, and blood that Ashwood would never forget. The call came in at 2:17. The dispatcher's voice was flat, almost hesitant, the kind that suggested the problem was stranger than a missing person. Ashwood wasn't the sort of place where calls at that hour happened unless something bad was already unfolding. Elias Crane, 37, a veteran with too many years of night patrol under his belt, was already awake. He was used to sleepless nights, the kind that made his bones ache before the body even complained. His partner, Juno, a black Belgian Malinois with eyes like polished obsidian, stirred beside him in the squad car, ears flicking. "Unknown distress call," the dispatcher repeated. "Coordinates place it near the east forest line. You'll want backup." Elias flicked a glance to his partner in the passenger seat. Sergeant Harper was older, grayer at the temples, slower to move but sharper in instincts. Harper just nodded. No one spoke much after that. By the time they rolled toward the coordinates, rain had begun to fall. First a drizzle, then a curtain of cold water. Headlights cut through the mist like surgical blades, illuminating the narrow road that wound through dense pines. The smell of wet soil and decay grew stronger. Somewhere nearby, a branch snapped. "Juno," Elias murmured. The dog stiffened instantly, tail high, ears forward. She moved with quiet urgency, pulling Elias toward the tree lean. Harper cursed softly behind them, his flashlight swinging to catch movement. The rain was heavier now, dripping down Elias's collar. His boot sank slightly into mud as he followed Juno. Then, a sound, a muffled, desperate whimper. They found her 20 feet inside the woods. A young woman, 20-ish, soaked to the bone, collapsed beside a broken tree trunk. Her hair was plastered to her face. Her breaths came in short, trembling gasps. Her clothes were torn, soaked through with mud and something darker, blood. Elias bent down, cautious. "Hey, it's okay. We're here to help." His voice was steady but low, aware she might not trust him. Juno moved closer, low growl rumbling in her throat, her body shielding Elias. The woman clutched a bulky oilskin bundle to her chest. Her fingers were trembling, so badly the wet fabric flapped in the rain. Elias reached for her shoulder. She flinched. "They're coming," she whispered, voice breaking. They can't have this." Harper approached, flashlight trained on her face. Who's coming?" She shook her head violently, biting her lip. Blood ran into her mouth. Her eyes, wide with fear, darted into the darkness beyond the trees. Elias glanced into the forest, but saw nothing. Just rain, shadows, and the sound of water dripping from leaves. "Ma'am, you need to come with us," Elias said softly. "We'll keep you safe." She looked at him for a long moment. Then, with a desperate burst of strength, she shoved the oilskin bundle toward Elias. "No, you don't understand. If they find this..." Her words cut off in a strangled breath. Elias took the bundle carefully. It was heavy, oddly shaped, tied tight with cord. He noticed the fabric underneath was stained dark. Harper stepped forward, scanning the tree lean with his flashlight. "We need to move. Now." Elias nodded. He secured the bundle inside his jacket and helped the woman to her feet. She resisted at first, then gave in with a low moan of pain. Her body sagged into his arms. Juno pressed closer to her, growling low but protective. The walk back to the squad car was slow and tense. Every step seemed heavier. Elias kept glancing into the forest, feeling an unseen gaze pressing on them. Harper followed behind, flashlights sweeping the trees, every shadow stretching unnaturally in the rain. When they reached the car, Harper opened the rear door, helping the woman inside. Elias took the bundle and placed it on the seat beside her. She curled toward it protectively, shivering. "Name?" Elias asked quietly. She didn't answer. "Elias," Harper said sharply, "we need to get her to the station. Let the medics check her." Elias nodded, but as they drove through the rain-slick streets toward Ashwood Station, he kept stealing glances at the bundle. It felt like the weight of something dangerous, something that could change everything. Inside the car, the woman murmured something under her breath. Elias caught one word, just before she fell silent. Ashwood. It was not just a location. It was a warning. By the time they reached the station, the storm had turned the streets into rivers. The glow from the station lights looked pale through the sheets of rain. In the silence between sirens and a hum of fluorescent lights, Elias felt the first thread of unease knot in his gut. And somewhere deep in his mind, he knew this wasn't just a missing person case. It was the beginning of something much worse. The fluorescent lights of Ashwood Station flickered faintly, casting thin shadows over the drab linoleum floor. Rain rattled against the windows like cold fingernails, and somewhere far outside, thunder rolled, deep and slow. Inside, the station smelled faintly of coffee, bleach, and fear. Elias sat across from Harper at a worn metal table, their jackets still damp. Between them, the oilskin bundle rested on a steel tray, wrapped in its coarse, blood-dark cloth. The injured girl sat on a bench nearby, knees drawn to her chest, shivering under a thin hospital blanket. She kept her head lowered, hair clinging to her face, whispering fragments under her breath in no discernible language. Harper leaned in, voice low. "You think she'll talk?" Elias shook his head. "Not yet. But this—" He tapped the bundle gently. "Whatever's in there, it's why she's terrified. And it's why someone chased her into the forest." They were interrupted by the soft click of the door opening. Lieutenant Mara Flynn stepped in, lean, steel-eyed, mid-40s, with a habit of cutting to the heart of things without wasting words. Her presence always made Elias uneasy. She was clever, but morally gray in ways he couldn't easily define. "Sergeant Crane," she said without preamble. Her gaze shifted to the bundle. "What do we have?" Elias glanced at Harper before speaking. "A woman found in the East Forest, injured, clutching this bundle. She's refusing to talk." Mara's eyes narrowed. "We'll want to change that." "Change how?" Harper asked. "By understanding why Ashwood is involved," she said softly. Her tone wasn't accusatory, but there was an edge to it. "Let's unwrap this slowly." They moved to a nearby secure room. Elias placed the bundle on the counter. Mara pulled on latex gloves, as if she'd been expecting this moment. Elias hesitated. The air between them felt charged. When Mara untied the cord, the oilskin gave way with a damp sigh. Inside was a small wooden box, its surface etched with strange markings. Not any language Elias recognized. The wood was dark, slick with moisture, and it smelled faintly of iron and earth. "Do you know what it is?" Harper asked. Mara shook her head. "Not yet, but it's old, dangerous old, and it's wrapped too carefully to be just a relic." The girl stirred suddenly, looking toward them with wide, fearful eyes. "Don't open it," she whispered hoarsely. Elias stepped closer. "You need to explain. Who's after you? What's in the box?" She shook her head violently, tears streaking down her face. "They'll kill you if they know it's here." The room went quiet except for the patter of rain against the window. Harper exchanged a glance with Elias. Mara studied the box, her expression unreadable. Finally, Mara spoke. "We'll need forensic, and I want this secured. No one leave this room without permission. No exceptions." Her voice was firm, a command, but her eyes lingered on the girl, as though weighing something. As the forensic team arrived, Elias stood apart, staring at the girl. She kept her head bowed, whispering under her breath again, her voice trembling. The words were fragments now. "Ashwood safe, no one trust." Her hands clenched the blanket tighter. Elias felt a chill in his gut. There was more to this woman than she let on, and the bundle was the key. Somewhere in those markings was a secret, Something worth killing for. Hours passed. Outside the station, rain softened into a steady drizzle. Elias paced the hallway. Mara remained in the secure room with the box. Harper was talking quietly to forensic tech, but their voices were muffled. Finally, Mara emerged. Her expression was sharper now, her voice quieter. "It's not just a box," she said. "It's a container. Inside, there's something that shouldn't exist, at least not in the way it's been kept hidden. This changes everything." Elias frowned. "Changes everything how?" Mara didn't answer directly. Instead, she looked toward the injured girl. "You need to know, Sergeant, we're already being watched." Before Elias could respond, Harper's radio crackled. A voice, distorted, urgent, spoke. "Lieutenant Flynn, this is a watch post. We've spotted movement at the east forest line. Multiple unidentified figures. They're armed." The blood drained from Elias's face. Mara's jaw tightened. "They know she's here." The girl's head snapped up, her eyes wide with terror. "They're coming," she whispered again. "You have to leave it. It's not safe." Elias felt something break inside him. He looked at Mara. "We have to protect her." Mara's expression softened for a moment, almost unrecognizable, but her voice was steady. "No, we protect the box." That moment crystallized into a bitter truth. In Ashwood, trust was a weapon no one wielded without cost. Outside the station, the rain was easing, but inside, the air was electric. They were already in motion, bound to a danger that none of them fully understood, and none of them could know how deep the conspiracy would go. By the time dawn broke over Ashwood, the storm had passed. The town lay soaked in silence, as though the night had swallowed its voice. Mist curled over the rooftops and clung to the forest like breath. Inside Ashwood Station, silence was heavier, the kind that comes before everything changes. Elias Crane stood by the secure room where the wooden box waited, untouched. Outside, Harper moved restlessly, checking his firearm. Mara Flynn leaned against the counter, arms folded, watching the girl who sat quietly in the corner, knees drawn tight under her blanket. She no longer spoke, only stared into nothing. The air felt tight, each breath heavier than the last. Mara finally broke the quiet. "We have to decide. Do we open it or do we destroy it?" Elias looked at her sharply. "We don't know what's inside. Destroying it could do exactly what they want." Mara interrupted. Her eyes were hard. "We're not dealing with thieves. This is something far older. Something Ashwood been hiding for decades." Harper glanced toward Elias. "And if they find out we open it, or if we destroy it?" A low growl from Juno cut through the air. Elias glanced at the dog. She was tense, eyes fixed on the girl. The girl flinched under that gaze, curling tighter. Mara sighed. "They're already here." Before Elias could ask, the station doors burst open. For figures, clad in black with faces obscured by rain-soaked hoods, stormed inside. They moved with military precision, weapons drawn. Elias reached for his gun. Harper followed suit. Mara's hand went to her sidearm, but she didn't draw it yet. "Step away from the box." One of the figures ordered in a low, controlled voice. His accent was strange, clipped. "You have no idea what you're holding." The injured girl suddenly rose, clutching her blanket to her chest. Her voice was steady now. "They'll kill everyone. You have to give it to them." Elias stepped forward. "Why should we trust you?" She looked at him, eyes fierce and desperate. "Because if they take it by force, they'll burn Ashwood to ground." Mara's expression hardened. "What is this? Who are you?" The man stepped closer. "We are the custodians. That box belongs to us by bloodline, and you have just endangered everything." Elias's mind raced. Bloodline? Hidden conspiracies? Everything from last night. The chase, the whispers, the girl's terror. It clicked together into something much bigger. "Why Ashwood?" Harper asked. "Because it's the last place they thought to look," the custodian said. "And because it's where it began." The girl screamed suddenly, darting toward the box. "No, don't open it. Don't." But Mara moved first, drawing her sidearm. Everyone stand down. Her voice was sharp, but her hands trembled. The room spiraled into chaos. Guns were drawn. Shouts echoed. Juno barked fiercely, lunging toward the intruders. Harper fired warning shots, the sound deafening in the small room. The injured girl collapsed to her knees, clutching the box like a lifeline, and then Mara made her choice. She stepped toward the bundle, her voice firm. I need to see this. Before anyone could stop her, she untied the cloth. The box opened. Inside lay a small, pulsing core of something alive, something organic yet glowing faintly. It emitted a low hum, a sound like the heartbeat of the earth itself. The air in the room grew colder. The lights flickered. Every face turned toward it. The custodians moved forward. That is the heart of Ashwood, the man said. His voice was reverent. It holds a power no one should control. And now it's here. Elias stared, speechless. Harper lowered his weapon. Mara's expression shifted. Awe, fear, doubt. The injured girl cried out, voice breaking. It's cursed. You don't understand. This will destroy everything if it falls into the wrong hands. The custodian stepped toward her. It's been kept safe for centuries. You've disturbed that safety. There was a beat of silence. Then the chaos erupted. Shots rang out. In the confusion, Mara grabbed the box and pulled it close. The injured girl screamed. Elias lunged toward Mara. Harper shouted. Juno barked, teeth bared. When the gunfire stopped, the room was wrecked. Dust and rainwater mingled on the floor. Mara lay on the ground. The box clutched to her chest. The custodians were gone, vanished as quickly as they appeared. Elias helped Mara up. She looked at him with something he didn't recognize, exhaustion, guilt, and something else. We can't keep it, she said softly. It's too dangerous. It belongs to no one. The injured girl looked up at them for the first time, tears running down her face. You can't hide it. They'll find it. Ashwood will burn. Elias looked toward the storm-dark windows. Somewhere outside, he felt eyes watching. Mara handed the box to Elias. We bury it, deep, where no one can find it. That's the only way. Elias hesitated, then nodded. Harper stayed silent, but the tension in his shoulders told him he disagreed. They carried the box together into the night. Juno padded beside them, her growl soft but constant. They walked toward the forest, toward the place where it all began. Rain began to fall again, and in the dark, something waited. Ashwood would never be the same.